In this particular hour, as we say in Kipindi cha Lala Salama, is the state of the nation from a youth perspective. And with us to have this conversation is none other than Kariuki Ngunjiri. He is the national youth leader at the UDA Youth Congress. Kariuki, karibu nikuite Karisa. I used to have a friend of mine alikuwa tunaitana alikuwa anaitwa Kariuki, so nilikuwa namuita Karisa.
Actually, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's a short form of my name.
Yeah, sure. So Kariuki, a very good morning and welcome to Radio Generation once
good morning.
again.
Thank you so much.
Yes. When we talk about, the state of the nation from a youth perspective, I feel like that is a very broad way to look at things. So I'd like to narrow it down. Yes. We know what has been happening, or rather what happened to the country from June last year. Of course, sometime mid this year, we had a little bit of kuja nipe nikupe maandamano situation. Do you think that what the youth at that point wanted or were agitating for, they will get on their way to get in, or it is an exercise in futility, or we should refocus and start looking at things differently?
Well, I think, and I have always held this view, that the youth really missed a very fantastic opportunity.
Really?
They had an opportunity to bring to the fore what I would say would be a historic shift in how public policy and affairs that affect our country are addressed.
Right.
And I say this having in mind that we made a lot of efforts to try and have a constructive dialogue. And at the time, I remember saying that we must have a clear distinction between constructive criticism and disruptive defiance. What we saw was a youth group, I would call it a rebel without a cause. And at some point, we lost a golden opportunity to discuss the affairs of this country at a level that would have changed everything. They say that an opportunity only comes once. And if you don't utilize it, life rarely gives a second chance.
Right.
It's been a year now.
Yeah.
And the momentum that we saw then was building up to something that brought a national psyche and brought a lot of reflection of where we were as a country. It's been now overtaken by time. And it seems like the shifting political alliances are giving us a new reality, which is mean that we might not experience
that opportunity again,
the opportunity we had. But now, you asked me whether it is an exercise in futility. This is what I believe, that while young people in the country have become more awakened and are actually participating more in the affairs of their country, there is still a lot to do in political education to sensitize them on how to utilize their potential and how to make it meaningful, so that in the process we have something productive being birthed in that whole scenario.
Okay.
While we seek to educate them, we also ask them to be patriotic enough to seek change, but at the back of their mind, while calling for that change, we ask them to have in mind that it is not possible to build a democracy like ours in a constant rage. We must have an end to what we want to achieve every time we agitate for something. Now, as a party, we are now in the process of engagement with the young people. And since then, we have really tried. Remember, we had engagements in universities. We visited all regions across the country to listen and understand. When
we say we, of course, I know you mean the UDA party.
Yes.
But how exactly did you approach these universities?
Our approach was simple. Because if you don't get to listen to the root of the problem, why did you guys go to the streets? So we first wanted to listen to them. as a leadership.
So when I ask, what I'm asking specifically is, how did you like have kamukunjis in the universities?
All right.
Were they public lectures? Like, how did you engage them?
We had town halls where we could go and come together with these young people in a bipartisan mindset sort of arrangement, without having to look who is a member of UD and who is not. Engaging.
You were just engaging young
the
Kenyans.
University young Kenyans. And there's a lot that we got from those forums. And I think since then, you have seen that the conversation online, even if it's not really settled in our favor 100%,
right,
I would say, if I arrange it, that time could have been that we were not doing so well. But we have really improved in terms of engagement and the feedback that we've gotten from these young people as pertaining to how they welcomed this conversation. And I think that's a step towards the right direction.
Why do you think that majority of those opinions online are not in your favor?
Like I have said, it has shifted. Then I would have said, if you call me here, I would have said that we are doing so bad in terms of perception. But our urge and reaching out to the young people and listen to them and having conversations has really worked for us. And our party and our government has become more of a listening body than it were then. We've learned so many lessons, and part of it is to engage in constructive dialogue, which means we don't impose on the young people what we want. We first listen to them, and we get to the center and have an understanding and the way forward.
And that's a good it's a good way of looking at things. Now, we were actually having a conversation here with Nambale MP yesterday, and our conversation, something that came out of that conversation is that perhaps there's a possibility that young people, and what I'm about to say is in regards to the noise that was made from last year June up until Sabasaba mwaka huu. It's like that was just a moment of a light bulb moment, but after that it's like that bulb will be dimmed towards the general election. And he put out a very good example, and for me it's actually a point of thought and research, perhaps, that how the youths in the urban areas think and operate is not the same way youths in the rural areas do the same. Now, you've said that you've been around the country to the universities and to probably other colleges as well, and you've done town halls. Do you think that the urban youth and the rural youth have a different mindset?
I answer that question actually by telling you that soon we shall be announcing another program that is meant to address the challenges of youth, not necessarily the ones I would say in the intellectual realm of school-going young people.
The academics.
But we'll go down to the grassroots. And soon I will be making that announcement. Perhaps I will maybe give you an account of what we want to do. But the intention is actually to also reach out to every corner of this country. And there are so many young people who are at the bottom and who seek to be part of the process. And last time when I was here, I told you about a project that we started in the campaign period where we signed a National Youth Charter. That National Youth Charter was supposed to address many of the challenges that the young people at the grassroots face. And if you recall, His Excellency the President announced a program that is meant to give direct transfer of cash to young people who will start businesses at the ward level. Actually, in each ward, 70 people, which comprises majority of young people and women. That project will award each one of them 50,000 shillings. And
each young person or groups?
The 70 that whether it's an enterprise will be awarded 50,000, which is meant to address what we had forethought in the youth manifesto. Again, the conversation that is ongoing right now is about how young people get jobs. For the first time, the president's legacy is spread across the country. For the first time, Kenya is like a construction company. If you went to Ethiopia 4 years ago, and I was there in, I think, 2019, 2020 there, you find a nation that is actually in construction. They had a vision of rebuilding their country to make Addis Ababa a good-looking city. Today, if you go to Ethiopia, you actually think that you are in Dubai. And the president's vision has been anchored on a vision that is long-term. And an example is the stadiums that have been coming up. Actually, 2 days ago,
the stadium here in Kenya?
Yes.
Okay.
The stadiums. An example of the one in Kitui that will host the next celebrations, national celebrations, is an example of the deliberate effort by the government to ensure that not just sports, young people being engaged in talent, but he also creates opportunities, because the construction industry is a very big and wide industry that offers jobs to many people. We have markets that are ongoing. My friend, if you get a chance to go to an area like in Mount Kenya, go to a place called Embu, see the fantastic, huge market that is being constructed there. Go to Machakos, go to Kisumu, go to every corner of this country. Construction is literally going on. Housing project was a project that many doubted. It was in the previous government's manifesto, but as young people, we see it as a transformative project that is employing marketers, people who are actually selling those houses. It's employing other professionals that work in the construction industry. The engagements that we are having is really to get feedback, and in the next few weeks, like I have told you, I will be talking to you to tell you that so far this is where we are in terms of development, and the policies that have been implemented have gone thus far. We were talking about Ruto at 3.
Yes.
And many people were asking, so this Ruto at 3, what have you been able to do? We told them, look at the situation that the president found this country. It was a time to pay debts that had matured. He came in and we did not default. So as young people, we are not just talking about hope for a better tomorrow. And the promises that were made are not just a pipe dream. They are being actively pursued. Yes.
When you talk about debts, fine, the government is paying the debts, but also the government is borrowing more debts.
I think it's, as a citizen of this country, not just as a young leader, I think as a citizen of this country, it's a sad state of affairs to be in Kenya at this time, because I guess circumstances have placed us in a position where our economy has to be jump-started every time. Every budget that is read each year cannot come without an obligation to borrow money to either repair debt that was taken or to fund infrastructure projects.
Right.
I guess it's a situation that we really can't do so much about, because those that came before us are the ones who, in their ambitions, their wisdom or lack of it, took these debts, and we found ourselves in a situation where this one is borrowed, this one is paid, the next, it's like a recurring cycle. And I don't think any one person can be able to solve this problem holistically. But it will take some time. The best that we can do is to renegotiate the terms of these loans so that they are favorable to our country and give us an opportunity to address them in the long term. But that situation cannot be addressed. I don't think any president can do it in one term, or even it will take a bit of time.
It will take a while.
Yes.
You see,
Why do you say it is a sad period? Why? What is sad about it?
Because I, as a young person, and maybe somebody who has ambitions to, if God gets us there, to be president of this country, I would find myself in a situation whereby I would be dealing with debts to, repay debts.
Why is that sad?
Because I look at some of the ambitions that those who have come before us had, and the gains that we get out of the project that they went into. And even if I'm not so experienced in that sector, I can see it's a zero-sum game.
Let me change my question and ask it differently.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
In the eyes of very many people in this country, and it is said that what I'm about to say is a view held by very many young people, that this government has failed in everything. It is not my view, because it is actually not possible for a government to fail in everything, even if they wanted to. It honestly is not possible.
Yes.
You happen to be a youth leader in a party that it is said is not popular among young people. Okay? Now, it is said, would you say that because of the issues that arise because of this situation, that you are in a good position to learn very many things that ordinarily you would not learn or understand if you are not in this position?
This is what I will say. I do not agree when you say that we are the essence of popularity.
I said perception.
Yes.
And I said it is not my view.
Yes.
There are those who hold that view.
Yes.
My question is not around the popularity or unpopularity.
Okay.
My question is, do you find yourself in a position where you are learning a great deal because of where you are at the moment?
Correct.
That is actually my question.
Yes. And I will just be honest with you. I have reviewed some of the infrastructure projects that have been taken before.
Yes.
And that's why I was driving my point and telling you that if I was in the position of those who made those decisions, I would have thought otherwise. There are projects that have been undertaken in this country that, if you ask me, and in my view, Kenyans are really paying dearly for it. And yet the gains that we get out of these projects is not something that we can say is improving, is making the situation better. I have an opportunity to learn and understand that while a country can grow out of people being overly ambitious and sometimes even doing excessive borrowing and everything, I also have understood in this whole process that it is important to live within our means.
Okay. If you look at recently, our president went to New York for the UNGA conference.
Yes.
Now, many people do not know why and how it is the UN came into being.
Yeah.
It followed a very serious war in which very many millions of people died.
Yeah.
So people realized and said, hey, we can't have this happening again. Let's form an understanding and let countries of the world. You're talking about 1945. Most of us were not supposedly independent from the colonialists.
Yes.
But when we became independent, we joined.
Yes.
The discussion now is not about joining.
Yes.
The discussion is about the voice we should have. Yes. And that shows that the problems that occurred that got the UN formed has enabled us to meet with other countries and other leaders and to have a place where everybody can come and talk. In the absence of that war, I doubt very much if there would have been a need for the UN. I doubt it. The multi-party that we have in this country and the conversations around it, it did not come about because people sat down, drank some tea, ate some mandazi and said, let's have multi-party. That's not how it worked. those who preferred the single party system wanted it to stay that way. And there was agitation. As a result of it, we got a new constitution. And as a result of it, we are now grappling with the contents of the constitution, because it is what is creating what we call problems. One, this freedom that people have. For most people who favor the previous way of thinking, freedom should be curtailed or guided. Apana ongea namna hiyo. So this is my opinion. Yes, your opinion should be this way. And so then it's not my opinion, it is yours. You are at a point, this government is at a very interesting point. Indeed, all those problems you say, they inherited. For sure they did. Every government will inherit something and some baggage that the government before them left for them. But because of those problems, this government is having to deal with things that other previous governments did not have to deal with. That's where the learning process takes place. And that's where you have now a learning curve. Because indeed it is true. There are countries that have defaulted on the loans that they have. They have. We haven't. The borrowing, if we have a shortfall and our revenue cannot meet whatever we want to do, we will borrow. And just so that Kenyans understand, we are not the only people who owe money. All these so-called developed countries owe money. Take your pick. Yes, take your pick. And take your pick, they owe. Okay? If it's a European country, they may owe the European bank or whatever it is called, but they owe. Have European countries defaulted on their loans? Yes, we have countries that have defaulted. Okay? This isn't new. But that's not something for us to be happy about. I'm simply saying that it is noteworthy when a leadership of a country actually steers the country away from default. It is not a small thing. But the learning that comes as a result of having to juggle, because when in such a situation, you are going to do some very serious juggling. Very. Because on the one hand, there are payments that are due, and those don't joke. You have to have money aside, because it's not as though they come and say, nani, ile check iko wapi? Apana. It's in the system. On due date, that money goes.
Yes.
You have obligations to meet. And that is what forms the discussion we hear every day. The government isn't doing this. Obligations.
Yes.
The government isn't doing this. This is what I'm saying. Then I will ask you the question. There is no better time to learn than when you have problems such as the ones we have. And there is no better time for us to be on a platform of growth than now. Because we have no choice but to feel the pain of decisions that have been made on our behalf. We have no choice but to confront the difficulties. There's no choice. And if you move out of this country, you may find different problems elsewhere. How to cope. And this is why I love the idea of being a Kenyan. Kenyans can adjust and they can maneuver. Political leaders take advantage of it, but they can. They look at a situation and figure, how do we deal with this? So, my question to you, given the abundance of lessons that one can learn from the time that we have, as a youth leader, when you're talking to people who of your ilk who are young, what sort of country would you like to see, and what are the things you think need to be done to get to that country that you need?
As of course, by there, I like your example on the UN and the multi-party democracy that you've talked about. A process a painful process that births some of the things that we today are privileged to have. I like that example. As a young person and as a young leader in the country, I guess, and many of my generation have understood the challenges that we are in as a country. And in our conversations and engaging most of them, they actually prioritize the basic things that the citizens would get from a government. The government has an obligation to, out of the taxes that it collects from Kenyans, to provide certain fundamental public goods and services, at least the basic ones, have a good education system that is working. And I can explain what the government is doing to make sure that we have that education. There are challenges in which every day we keep on trying to ask for an improvement and giving ideas on how they can be done better. The government is really doing a lot in that sector. Number two is a problem that faces this country of youth unemployment. And youth unemployment is something that when we were building that youth manifesto, I was actually very and personally passionate about. And some of the reforms that we were seeking were to make it easy for people not to just graduate out of university, colleges and all these other institutions and wait for the day that they will get an email for an interview. We said there are so many opportunities in this era of technology that are available online that young people can pursue and employ themselves. So we really tried to think hard of some of the interventions that the government can make to make it easy for the young people to employ themselves, do those online jobs. And part of the intervention was to have ICT hubs, we used to call it, and still call it the digital superhighway, to have access to the internet in almost every corner of this country. By the way, City and Movie, today, the picture we were taking outside there with the deputy government spokesman,
right,
the guy who was taking it using his phone, that mobile phone can be a source of employment. There are people who are actually making content and are selling it online. As an example, yesterday, the head of special projects, Dennis Itumbi, was meeting with TikTokers, creators. That's a huge platform that can and will employ so many young people, thousands of them. And they get it as a real employment
avenue.
Number three, we also discussed not just employment, we discussed businesses to decriminalize enterprise. You know, a young person starts something, and instead of being tapped and being helped to improve on it, the young person is seen as somebody who is trying to challenge status quo and bring about change in the conservative way of doing things, interest and everything. We really wanted to pursue an avenue where every hustle matters. We also talked about, you know, the security of the people of Kenya, young people, those who are in the northern part of Kenya, the radicalization that has been a problem, young people being brought in organizations that wanasema kwa Kiswahili wa itikadi kali. We wanted to have a united front of young people with one common destiny and always having an obligation of being patriotic to change their country. We also discussed and said that if the Kenya Kwanza administration gets this government, we also want to make sure that young people can also be able to get opportunities in government internship programs, and they get that training which will help them grow in their careers and being able to sharpen them, proceed with life after school. In our discussions and the state of the nation today in the youth perspective, I would like to say that we have come from afar. It was challenging in the last regime to have a specific angle in terms of public policy that addresses the strengths of these young people. For the first time in the country, the young people of Kenya are engaging in a debate on tax. You know, you've never seen that. It's been made possible by the government bringing an opportunity in terms of debate, in terms of democratic values.
Did the government really give us
today
that opportunity?
Let me tell you, you
to
see
debate?
Yes, you see these dialogues that I'm talking about. For the first time in Kenya, I've been around these youth circles for
a long time. Hata mimi nimeona mara ya kwanza, but when because what I'm disagreeing with is the fact that it's the government that has given us that opportunity.
Do you know what I mean by that? The government of Kenya, comparing with other governments, let's look at our neighbors. You have Tanzania, you have Uganda, Rwanda and everything. We interact with those people.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation last year at the Youth Connect Summit in Rwanda. And I was having conversations with young people from across East Africa.
Right.
And they were asking me, so how do you people in your country, how does your government allow young people to express themselves? How does your president go on Twitter for 1 hour and a half and allow himself to be criticized by young people? And I told them that Kenya is unique. We are Kenya. And these democratic values and principles that everybody keeps on talking about, if you want to benchmark, go to Kenya. If you want to go to a very vibrant and informed populace, go to the young people of Kenya. They asked me, what about, somebody actually even told me, in our country, if that conversation would have cropped up, the internet would have been shut down. But here, and they were even warning me, if you visit our country, please don't talk about our president. I know maybe you have some personal views on how he does his
Keep
thing,
it to yourself.
but please, when you come here, keep it to yourself. I asked him, okay, your president is good. He's doing a lot. He's changed a lot. But do you have room for criticism on some things? He told me, if you dare do that, things are going to be bad on your side. And that's why I say that youth of Kenya find themselves at a very unique point in history where they have an opportunity to create a historic moment that generations that will come after us will enjoy from. But it's like they are not seeing it. They are wasting a very good chance,
How then, let me ask you, how then would they use it in the most useful way? How will they utilize it to ensure that they get the maximum benefits out of it?
I'll keep saying this. I am of the opinion that if the youth of Kenya, first of all, agree to be organized, have an objective, and have a clear vision on what they want to change in our governance system and in the way things are done, it is actually possible for it to happen. However, the challenge that you've had for this long time in the discussions is political interference. Any moment that the young people want to have a conversation and bring their ideas to the table, I don't know what happens in between, that we lose that opportunity, and it becomes, and I give an example of the demonstrations, it morphed from peaceful, we are discussing taxes, we are discussing the finance bill, to Ruto must go, and that is where we get it wrong. If it could have remained as a discussion on policy, tax, finance bill, I think we'll have really gotten the best gist out of everything.
But you see, you are now bordering and teetering on totalitarianism. When people morph their discussion in the direction that they want, or it goes contrary to a script that you would prefer, that is not a negative thing.
Let me ask you, so why would young people waste their time doing demonstrations that are geared towards bringing reforms in our tax system, and then in between lose direction and start following a political script, which means that you have to now be brainwashed into something else that is not what, or rather the cause that you at the beginning thought you are fighting for. And when it takes a political direction, now it becomes politics. It moves away from policy.
Did the youth not realize that the moment you are protesting, you are on a political turf? The moment you are in a country and you're agitating for change, you do know you've gone political.
Now, here is the difference. The young people, majorly those ones that we saw on the streets, the conversation was hijacked. And I say this because I was following each and every moment. It was hijacked in this manner. It began as a very nice debate on policy, on tax, on what we can do, what we don't want, and what we want. And then, I don't know who kind of spinned the whole thing, and it became a sort of an activism campaign, changed now into a political animal that was threatening to overthrow a democratically installed government.
Just put a full stop on that.
It is not possible. It cannot happen, and we cannot move like that.
Yeah, no, I have a question specifically on that statement, because the president himself, President William Ruto, came out and said that the peaceful protest was hijacked. His own words. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but he said it. The president has also told us most recently that he consumes raw intelligence and he knows things about, and it's because the position that he holds, he's privileged to that kind of information. So the president knows who hijacked, the people hijacked, whether it's an individual, a group of people. He must know whether they are domestic or foreign. He must know. It's been a year since. We are not getting that information. And the young people, and you've said it very well, ilianza vizuri sana, we were talking about policy. People were saying finance bill, reject finance bill, full stop. Then ghafla bin vu, punde si punde, it became Ruto must go. And then it moved to very many other things after that. We can't even keep track of them, because I'm sure if we go back and look at the several agendas, there are quite a number. So at what point, and he knows that it was hijacked. And Kariuki, you being a youth leader in the United Democratic Alliance, I am certain, I'm sure you have conversations with the president, even if it's once every blue moon. Point is, you have them. At what point then do we get the conversation back to actually moving the country forward?
Now, the president is very determined to change this country, and there's something that many people don't know about President William Ruto.
Which is what?
That in the previous administrations, we've had leaders, people who have an experience in public service. But President William Ruto is unique in this way. I describe him as a philosopher king in our current state of politics. He's a person who, if you get a chance to read his mind, sit down with him, have a conversation, has a deep analysis of issues and a breadth of perspective on where he wants to take this country. There are people who are basically elected to be president just because of the politics of the day. But this one is a leader, I would say, has both knowledge and wisdom and understands what exactly needs to be done. The unique place he finds himself in this point in time is as a result of certain factors. One of them being the competing realities of him concentrating on delivering for Kenyans, and at the same time concentrating on the noise that goes outside with the activism, which is as a result of our democratic values and the openness that our society has. He chooses to focus on delivering, and that's why, and I look at him sometimes, and there was a time when most of us were like, okay, there's a lot of heavy criticism on this housing project, and some of us really even were asking, so what are these people saying about it? And the president, I remember one day, stood in a church in Machakos, and he told people when the housing issue was at its start that I am focused and there is no way I am going back on this one. He said, I will not allow those who doubt my capacity to deliver this to distract me. Today, I look at him and I remember those words. The changes that we have seen in this country in terms of the market and the housing project now reflect his passion and his deep analysis of the situation then, something that most of us
Kariuki,
will not actually see.
There are those of us who would say that's his job. See, he asked for a job.
Yes.
What you've described.
Yes.
Hiyo ndio kazi. Now, details of how you're supposed to do it, it is service. But, just so that you get a perspective, in this country, with this population of these people we call Kenyans, they're a strange lot. You are popular for a very short period. Sincerely. You can even, Kibaki is reported to have won with the largest majority we've ever seen.
2002.
2 years into presidency.
He lost a referendum.
Clean. Clean.
Yeah.
He became unpopular. People are saying, Moi should not have left. Moi should just have stayed. Oh yes.
But pia sisi kama Wakenya tulikuwa na shida ya wakati.
No, hakuna siku hatuna shida.
Na hakukuwa na social media.
There is no time hatuna shida. Okay?
Yeah.
And remember, Kibaki was president with the old constitution. He had more power than Uhuru had.
Yes.
Nobody speaks about Uhuru having to deal with something no other president in the history of this country has had.
A new thing.
This new constitution was an utter and absolute nightmare.
Yes.
By the time the president is asking, okay, you guys, what do you want me to do? They essentially is telling you there are things I can't do even if I want, because there's a constitution.
So people are still in that hangover.
We still are, not where?
We are still in the hangover.
We're still there.
Yes.
But the hangover that concerns me is this knack for negativity that we have.
Yeah.
We have a problem, indeed we do. There are issues that need to be resolved. That is why we elect people to help us resolve them. Do we have a trust deficit with the political leadership? We do.
Yes.
But how do we best sort out these issues? Because they are Kenyan problems. And these leaders whom we elect, they don't elect themselves. They are Kenyan leaders whom we've elected. How do we also discuss issues in a balanced way? Because in this country, I've heard people saying the housing project doesn't exist. But those houses exist. I mean, even if you don't like the president, the houses exist.
Yes.
Why are they built in the rural areas? There are those who are determined they will find something negative to say. So you must understand, it doesn't matter.
And
they will criticize.
That's why I made the point. And you are right. I made the point and said that there is a lot of criticism that comes with the job. This whole issue of, I think, maandamano and everything, and that perception going deep down into the government.
Yes.
And I don't know, I might be wrong.
Usiende mbali. Kariuki, there are people within the government who give fodder for criticism because of what they do, what they say. They allow for that criticism, and then that criticism is levied on everybody who is in government.
Yeah, I wanted to give you an example. There's a mzee we used to work with. I worked with in a lot of scenarios. The former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua. I got a privilege that time to work with him in the Kiambaa by-election. We worked very closely, and even shifting into government.
Yes.
The impeachment process of Rigathi, I would say, was a catalyst to some of the problems that we're having. and majorly because there are people who are sympathetic with him, and especially those who come from my
community.
Region. They didn't understand in detail why Rigathi was being removed. And I have always, anytime I go to even those vernacular stations, I always tell them that I didn't have any personal relationship with Rigathi.
Right.
But I got an opportunity to be around him for some time. And I saw the kind of a person he was and how, you know, he used to treat even people
around him,
have supported him. And I told those people, I told my people that please, we cannot be mad. All of us, including his member of parliament, his senator, his women representative, neighbors who are MPs, all of us could not have been wrong to be unable to work with Rigathi. And you know, they didn't understand, they were confused, they thought that it was malice, they thought that we were against, even as young people. You know, Rigathi used to hate us, a group of us.
Hate is a very strong word.
Yes, he actually used to hate us because he thought, listen, he thought that, and in this case, I can give you examples because some of them are my
because
friends.
we have a few seconds to the end.
People like the likes of Dennis Itumbi,
right,
Dindi, us, me as Kariuki. Rigathi never used to like us because he had, or in his mind, he had some fertile imagination that there is a generational change that is coming, and it's coming
actually there is
to challenge. It's coming to challenge him and dislodge him as the kingpin of Mount Kenya, which was preoccupied in his mind.
Kariuki.
Now, for us,
as you leave, I want you to think: was he actually wrong? Was he actually wrong?
City is looking for a yes or no.
No, yes.
No, let me in 1 second give it context. Rigathi thought that we were against him because we wanted to install a young person as the next kingpin. Now, this is the difference. His impeachment and him going out was not related to that. It was related to him being a difficult person to work with, and we never wanted him in our team.
Our time is up, but let me tell you one thing.
Yes.
You can't install a kingpin. People decide on who their kingpin is.
But he's trying to force it on the people of Mount Kenya, and I can tell you, and I have told him, even on media stations, that he's going to fail terribly if he thinks that he can use that strength that he thought he had to install himself as kingpin of Mount Kenya. This Uhuru's comeback in this Mount Kenya politics will shape a different perspective and how people see it. And I can tell you from this table here, and you've seen it, our people have now begun being tired of Rigathi because of the things that he's saying. They are used to his rhetoric. And going into 2027, because I am really praying hard and praying hard that there will never be an opportunity where he vies. Because if we were to have Rigathi as president, and this is my own opinion, we would be installing a dictator.
Kariuki, Ngunjiri, thank you so much for coming. Unfortunately, like I've told you, this is the time we had. However, come back again. Kama kawaida, our doors are very much open, and let's continue with this conversation.
Asante sana, nimeshukuru.
Yes.
Can I end it with this?
Yes.
There is a quote by Antonio Guterres in Unga juzi. He said that no matter the obstacle, no matter the difficulty, no matter the challenge, no matter the hour, we shall overcome every setback as UDA and as Ruto's administration.
All right.